The dining room air hung heavy, dense with the aroma of roasted lamb and an unspoken betrayal, as Daniel stared at the message illuminating his phone screen. "I can't do this anymore. I want out." His fork trembled in his hand, a piece of lamb suspended mid-air, while his chest pounded like a trapped animal desperate for escape. Across from him, Elise sipped her wine, eyes fixed on the flickering candle between them, completely unaware of the storm raging within him. 10 years of marriage, countless sunsets shared, and now this, a cold digital dagger plunged straight into his chest. He wanted to scream, to demand answers, but his voice lodged in his throat, tangled in disbelief and dread. The dining room, with its polished oak table and walls adorned with framed memories from their Paris honeymoon, felt like a theater set built for someone else's life. His gaze fell on Elise's hands, once the delicate fingers that traced promises on his skin, now wrapped tightly around her glass, the wedding ring gleaming like a cruel reminder. Had she planned this all along? The message had come from her phone, yet it felt like it belonged to a stranger. Daniel placed his fork down, the clink against the plate startlingly loud, and cleared his throat. "Elise," he said, his voice even despite the chaos inside. "Is there something you need to tell me?" Her eyes lifted sharply, guarded, like a deer sensing a predator. "What do you mean?" Her tone was light, but beneath it lingered a subtle edge he didn't recognize. She tilted her head, auburn hair catching the candlelight, and for a brief instant she seemed like the woman he had fallen in love with, warm, vibrant, his anchor. But something was off. The way her lips pressed together, the faint tremor in her fingers. He remembered these signs, small, fleeting moments over the past year. Late nights at the office, calls taken behind closed doors, the phone locked with new codes. He had dismissed them as work stress, but now they screamed the truth he had refused to see. "I got your text," he said, sliding the phone across the table. The screen glowed, her words staring at him in black and white. Her face paled, the wine glass frozen midway to her lips. For a heartbeat, silence swallowed the room, broken only by the soft hiss of the candle wick. Then she laughed, a brittle, nervous sound that never reached her eyes. "Oh, that," she said, setting the glass down carefully. "I didn't mean to send that yet. It was a draft. I was just venting, Daniel. You know how I get when I'm overwhelmed." He wanted to believe her. God, he wanted to. But the lie hung in the air, sour and undeniable like spilled wine. "Venting," he repeated quietly, each word a stone dropped into still water. "You don't vent about divorce by accident." Her gaze flicked toward the rain-streaked window, blurring the world outside. She was stalling, and he felt the truth slipping further from his grasp, a fish wriggling free from the hook. The following weeks were a slow bleed. Elise moved through their home like a shadow, her presence fleeting. Excuses multiplied. Client dinners, late-night meetings, an impromptu conference in Chicago revealed at the last minute. Daniel tried to hold on, cooking her favorite pasta, leaving small notes on her pillow, but every gesture felt like shouting into a void. Gradually he began noticing details he had ignored. The faint scent of unfamiliar cologne on her scarf, a receipt from a hotel bar tucked into her coat pocket, a new password on her laptop. Each discovery was small, almost insignificant, but they piled up, fraying the fabric of trust until it barely held together. One sleepless night, Daniel sat in the home office, the glow of her laptop screen casting shadows across his face. He had never snooped before, priding himself on respecting her privacy, but desperation clawed at him. He knew her too well, the new password a predictable combination of her mother's maiden name and their anniversary. The screen unlocked, and his heart sank as he opened her email. There, buried in a folder labeled work, were messages from someone named Ryan. "Can't wait to see you tonight. You deserve better than this, Elise. We'll figure it out together." Each line hit him like a punch, stealing his breath. The last message, sent that very morning, read, "File the papers soon. I've got everything ready for us." Daniel's hands shook as he closed the laptop. Ryan, the charming colleague he had liked, laughed with, even poured a beer for just a month ago, was the one she had chosen. The memory now burned acid in his throat. Anger surged, but a colder, sharper part of him took over. He needed proof. He needed to understand the full extent of the betrayal. The next day he hired a private investigator, a quiet man with tired eyes who asked few questions. Within a week, a thick folder arrived. Photos of Elise and Ryan at a cafe, her hand resting on his arm, images of them slipping into a hotel, her laugh frozen in a grainy shot, and bank statements revealing transfers from their joint savings into a trust under Ryan's name. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was financial, a calculated theft of their shared life. When Elise finally handed him the divorce papers, her face a mask of practiced regret, Daniel did not resist. He signed with a steady hand, the storm in his chest silent but raging. "I just want you to be happy," he said, words tasting like ash. She nodded, tears in her eyes, but he couldn't tell if they were real or merely another performance. The divorce finalized swiftly, her haste a quiet confirmation of her plans. But Daniel wasn't finished. He kept copies of the investigators' findings, the bank records, and emails. With a ruthless lawyer he built a case. Elise had mistaken his silence for weakness. The lawsuit hit her like a tidal wave: fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, emotional distress. The court froze the trust, and Ryan, faced with exposure, turned on her, revealing her central role in siphoning their wealth. In the courtroom she sat alone, confidence stripped, face hollow. Daniel never looked at her. He didn't need to. The ruling was merciless. The stolen millions returned to Daniel, punitive damages added, her reputation in ruins. She had gambled everything: love, trust, their shared future, for a man who abandoned her at the first sign of trouble. That night, Daniel returned to the empty dining room, the table where it all began. The candle was gone, the room dimly lit by the streetlights outside. He poured a glass of wine, raised it to the quiet, and whispered to trust. The word lingered, bitter but intact, as he drank alone, the weight of victory pressing cold against the ache of loss.